So today we're going to talk about FZF plus Vim. How many people here heard about FZF at all? All right, we got 1, 2, cool. So I was going to make some Vim Chicago spiel, but Jake did that. So we're Vim Chicago here, and the event is sponsored by HashRocket. So that's the pizza and the air conditioning and all that stuff. So let's talk about, let's get straight in the meat of it. So FZF is a basic, Linux command line utility. It's written in Go, and it's a great project by Jungun Choi. He's a guy from Korea who writes amazing Vim stuff. Like, he has a lot of Vim plugins. He writes a lot of really, really cool stuff. Basically what it does is fuzzy finding on text, on lines in text. So fuzzy finding, what do you mean? Well, if you ever used Google and you mistyped something, the algorithm behind that is some sort of fuzzy finding. And there's a reason to use a fuzzy finder. The main reason is because it makes you, first it makes you look really, really fast because you're just like typing a few letters and you get to where you want to get. So it gives you kind of like psychic-like powers, or like a computer psychic-like power. It helps you save precious time and do more with less typing. It also allows you to automate processes, which I'll show you later on how to do some of that. I think you can also go down here, but it's also it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. That's another good reason. And why FZF? Anybody here uses Control P to navigate Vim? Okay, so Control P is another way of like fuzzy finding files, but FZF does more than that. It's not just for that. And it's particularly cool because it's a Linux utility, and so you can pipe anything through it and use fuzzy find on that. It's extremely customizable. Because it's written in Go, it can run asynchronously, and it'll be really, really fast. So, according to the author, it's orders of magnitude faster. And I'm going to show you right now a quick demo of how we build like a quick fuzzy find. You all know about git branch, right? It gives you a list of branches. I have a fork locally of Rails. This is Rails 5, so it has really like all the versions. If I look at git branch -r, that shows me all the remote branches, and so there's quite a few of them. Let's say I want to change the branch right now, so I can do I have this utility here, FZF. If I just run it by itself, it will show me a list of files, and I can start typing, for example, blade.yaml, blade YAML, and I can even type BLDE, like miss a few letters, that's fine. So now if I pipe stuff through it, for example, git branch, now I get a list of all the branches in Git, and I can start typing stuff like master. And as you can see, the star here comes from just git branch. So it keeps the output exactly as it is. Now if I want to switch to, for example, the 3.0 stable, so I have this command, and I'm going to wrap it around with a subcommand in bash. I'm going to do git checkout, and that should give me the output of the FZF will be what I selected. So I'm going to say 3.2, and wait a moment, and it's there. So now we're on 3.2. So that was pretty easy. Now that might not be very useful if you only have like 3. But it can be really useful if you don't remember your branches. So it's making it like a one command instead of like multiple commands. So what if I want to switch to a remote branch? So remote branches, I don't necessarily have them on my local machine. So if I do this and I just say, give me Let's see, lock FFI. So lock FFI. Oh, I can't really do it. It checks out some weird, like, well, just like that commit, specific commit. That's not exactly what I want. I want to track it. So I'm going to add, let's do GCO master again. And I want to add ---- track to that. So now I'm going to select lock FFI. And we now have a local branch called lock FFI. So pretty cool stuff. I basically did something like this, an alias that I load in the beginning of my ZSRC. And so I have that, and I have GCORB. I also have something like FCD, which allows me to jump to a subdirectory, any subdirectory. So if I want to do see what action cable looks like, just FCD action cable, and then I'm here. So this is all like a lot of bash stuff. This is not really directly related to Vim, but you can use all those techniques to create your own commands and then use them from Vim. So that's what it's from. How do you get it? You basically do brew install if you're on a Mac, brew install FZF. That's simple. If you want to get it on Vim, I use the plugin manager, which is by the same author. And if you're going to get it with plug, you need to do it like this. Otherwise, you can use any other plugin manager. But you need two plugins. One is the FZF and one is FZF.vim. FZF itself comes from, I believe, FZF from Brew. So that's how you get it. Now FZF doesn't make you like build all those things yourself. It gives you some stuff built in. So I'm going to show you some of those commands. So this is directly from the help file from FZF Vim. You get out of the box, you get files, G files. All those are colon commands. So if you just do files, you'll see the files command. Git files, which shows you if you're in a Git directory, it will show you all the Git files. So if you have a bunch of files that you probably will not access from Vim, it will remove those from the list, so your fuzzy finding is a lot cleaner. G files is just a question mark, just gives you all the files that you changed in the latest change set that are available from Git status. Buffers shows you the open buffers. So let's start demoing some of those. So I'm gonna do files. So I can see, let's say I want to jump to Blade. Boom, I'm here. That was that fast. Instead of doing like man, what was that thing? Well, this one was not that hard, but let's say I wanted to get to callbacks.rb. So I would have to do like active. There's so many things that start with active in Rails. That's great. Active modal, lib, yeah, so you get the point. Another thing that's really cool is buffers. So I have multiple buffers right now. I have one that is a rake file, and I want to jump directly to that. I have it mapped to Control B, but you can also just type buffers. And now it fuzzy finds that, so I can jump to the rake file. Let's see what else we have here. Colors. I have a lot of color schemes, actually. Probably too many. This is probably tomorrow night. And let's say I want to see all the color schemes that are 256 colors. So I'm just going to type 256. And now I can just browse through them. And let's say I really actually like desert. Actually, that one, maybe not that one. 256. Jungle. That sounds fun. Cool. Really messed up. What else? So AG. Is somebody here using AG, the plugin AG? Yeah, so the AG plugin actually gets overwritten when you install FZF Vim. And that can be quite upsetting at first, but then when you use this AG, you like don't even want to use the auto one anymore. But there's a way around that as well. I'll show you towards the end. Let's do a demonstration of that. So we're in Rails. Let me return to my trusty color scheme. Cool. So I'm gonna do AG, and the really cool thing that's happening right now, it just loaded all the files in a matter of seconds and all the contents for all the files. So all the lines from everything is here in the buffer. And I can say, show me a place where I'm including active record or active support. So include active support. So these are all the lines, and I don't even have to type it. This is why I like it more than AG. I don't even have to type it fully. I don't have to capitalize anything. I can just start typing, brain's thought stream directly into here, and I get everything. So if I click one of them, I jump directly into it. If you have any questions, by the way, please stop and ask. Let's say we want to jump to aligning the file. It's also possible. So let's jump to, let's see, what's in the bottom of this file? Something that has private. Let's find the private, right? So we're in the top. We'll do lines, private, and I can see private here. So lines actually shows me everything that's loaded in all my buffers, but I can also do B lines, which will show me only stuff relevant to this file. So now if I do private, I can jump directly to it.
Lines? You said lines does, without the B lines, the lines just does all your open buffers.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else? We got tags. If you're using C tags, really helpful. B tags only in the current buffer, same thing. Marks is really cool. If you ever do I do a lot of MM. I very rarely do M something else, but marks in Vim are pretty useful. Actually, right now I have some stuff. I don't know why, but Vim retains all my marks from all the points in time ever. But I have a vimrc.bundles mark that I put there at some point. Windows will let you jump between tabs and windows and panes and everything. So Windows is actually really cool too. The locate pattern, if you have a Mac, I don't know if it's a Linux utility, but if you have a Mac, locate lets you find all the files in your system really, really fast because it indexed them. So if I just do here, locate, locate / I can, so it's scanning my whole system right now, and it's just done. That's pretty crazy to me. It scanned over 1 million files, almost 2 million files in seconds. And that's the nature of the parallel FDF.
Can you find that Sarah hosts?
Sure. Boom. Open it. So, really, really fast. History, MRU, so Vim retains an MRU, most recently used, I think. And you can see all the files that I opened recently. If I want to see the command history, all the commands that I executed, I really like Limelight. It's one of my favorite commands. Also by the same author. This guy is amazing. But let me show you what it does, because this is really cool. So I can fuzzy find on those, activate Limelight, and now as I move, it highlights only the context that I'm on. I have ADD, so for me this is really helpful. I don't have to read a giant file of stuff. I just focus on one part. Disable that. Snippets. If you use Ultisnips, it's really useful because, for example, if I'm in a Ruby file, like here, and let me just do this. Snippets. And I want to insert a while loop. So I type while, and it gives me two options because it shows you actually what the snippet would look like. So I actually like this one better. So I edit it, I insert it, and I say while true, sleep 1. This is a great line of code. Actually, 3 lines of code to put in any production system. I'm going to do a pull request to Rails later. So commits, this is really cool actually. So it'll show you the whole commit tree for this project. And I can fuzzy find on a specific commit text. So let's find something, maybe mentioning DHH. Well, that's, for fuzzy finding something like DHH, maybe not that great. Yeah. Yeah, the commit history, and I can see the whole tree here.
Can you find something regarding Redis?
Redis. There's nothing that matched directly, otherwise it would be at the top. So that's why it kind of like expands it. How about what?
Yeah.
MERB?
Oh, nothing. Huh?
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's likely they will be on the top if it finds it first.
Man, we gotta find something.
Yeah, I can't give up.
Let's see.
Bug.
How about what?
Bug.
Bug. Fix failures. I found a lot of things.
Yeah.
Rails is rich in bugs. It's actually pretty stable. Anyway, it lets you, like, let's say I want to...
You search for adequate?
Adequate?
Yeah.
Did I spell it right?
Yes, you spelled it right. I think. Are those all matches?
Those are all matches, but because it's fuzzy finding, it kind of like...
Oh, right. So is there...
We want to get to the top. If you're at the top, this is where the most matches would be. If I say initializer, then I start finding like initialize configuration, initializers. So
Is there... So, I guess when you have a lot of data like that...
yeah.
It would be interesting if you could sort of get... If you actually are searching for like a whole word and make it less fuzzy. Yeah.
Something less fuzzy.
Yeah, well, for specific instances, right? Like,
I mean, I guess you can type it more as is, right?
or can you put in quotes and then it will be like, okay, only this thing matches.
I don't know. I think it actually finds quotes. So if I say like quote, see it found a quote.
Yeah.
So it takes it literally.
That's cool.
You can also do B commits just for the current buffer. So you can see how this file has changed and then search on that. If I want to see when somebody did something with the execution wrapper, boom, and then if I ignore the message, I'm not sure what's going on here. I think it's like something got messed up with another plugin. But if I click it, basically it opens it with Fugitive. So it requires Fugitives for this to work. Commands is also very useful. If you forget what a command is called, but you remember like a part of it, like I know I have something with like removing white space, but I'm not sure what it is. Let's do that. White space. So I have strip white space. That's the one I was looking for. So let's execute it, and that removes all the trailing white spaces. Getting close to the end. Maps lets you find all the normal mode maps. So if you're here, you do maps, and I want to find something related to, let's see, something maybe about Git. So Git got our next hunk, is close bracket C in normal mode. Just, you know, if you forget what is the mapping that you set up, it's really useful. What else? Help tags. So that's also very helpful. If I want to find some help for FZF, let's do help tags, FZF, and then I can jump right into it. Or I can say FZF commands, CMD to get to commands. And file types. If you want to change the current file type to something else, again, it's just file types, and change it to like Ruby if you want. So that covers like the built-in stuff, but all those commands are commands that the author is using on his vimRC, and he decided to kind of like open them to the public. It's not to say that you have to use those. You can build your own and you can make them better. I personally use the Git files a lot, and Git files is not enough on its own because it's not excluding the ignored files, but it's taking options. That's what you see here. So I customize it to my liking. Let me show you. Oh wow. So I've got Git files. There we are. Huh. It's missing some of my customizations. So basically I add some stuff at the end. I do like minus exclude standard, which will ignore all the git ignore files and a lot of other files that shouldn't be there. I also do -O to show me the files that are untracked, because without that, that command is useless almost. This is actually translates to --other. And I have one last thing that I add here. I'll post it on the meetup later. I also created something. Let's skip that one. So yeah, this is, I created my own mappings for everything. So I have like control B for buffers, control G for AG, leader for commands, and control P for FZF omni files, which is a function that I wrote. And what it does is it checks if the current directory is a Git directory. It does that using system, and then for some reason, and if you know the answer for that, please let me know. It won't let you execute system like this without the param, without assigning it to something. I'm not sure why. But if I assign it to something and then I check the vshell error, then it will tell me if I'm in the Git directory or not. So I can use files or Git files depending on the directory. Also gives you insert mode completions. I think they're like cool, but there are better tools for that. So if let's jump to here. Let's add another. This is a rake file. I'm going to add another task, and I'm going to start it with desk. So I start writing it, and I do Control X, Control L. Well, no, that's not the right one. Let's do desk, Control X, Control L. There you go. So now I can see all the different desks, and I can autocomplete based on that. I think it's okay. It's not that great. Like the plugin that you saw in the beginning when I had this mistake, that's my favorite. If I just do tab. Yeah, this one. I'm not sure which one it is, but it works way better. But if you want to customize that, you can also do that. So building your own tools to autocomplete the text that you're writing, it can be a pretty interesting scenario. So that's my Omni files, and you can also create your own fuzzy commands. So I'm going to show you how to do that. He gives you some example. For example, locate. So this is just a command. We call it locate. It takes one argument, and then you do FZF run. You can pass it like some hash here that contains a source. You tell it what is the source data that you're putting in. and the sync. And the sync is like after the user selected something, put it through the sync. In this case, it's E, like edit the file. And you can give it some options. Those are all documented in the help file. I built my own, so I showed you in the beginning how I switch branches. So I took that command and I put it in my Vim. So change branch. All I do here is I define a function. I do git checkout, and this function takes one parameter. So git checkout that parameter, and that would be the sync, right? So after that, I do colon ebang to reload the current file, and I also update my airline. That's this stuff right here. Then I also show a message to the user that I changed the branch. Here's the command itself, gbranch. So the source, this is the data that comes into it. It's just git branch. And then the sync, I call the function. This is the function I defined here. Options minus m. I actually just pass it. I have no idea what it does. I'll probably need to look it up. But down 20%, what that does is it opens it, instead of full screen, the default is full screen, it opens at 20% below my current screen. Integrates really nicely with Tmux, by the way. So it's not really a Vim split, but rather a Tmux split. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to jump to Rails. And let's find the Rails file here. This one. And right now we're in the lock FFI branch, and I want to switch back to master. So I'm going to do gbranch. Oh, I didn't load my vimrc. Okay. Gbranch. Let's go to master. So loaded it, reloaded the file, and refreshed my airline. So that was pretty easy. I think stuff like that, this is obviously a pretty simple example, but stuff like that can become very time-saving. So like I mentioned, it overwrites AG, and for some people it can be a deal breaker, but it doesn't have to be, because it has this function, let g fzf command prefix, give it whatever prefix, and then colon files become fzf files. The same for fzf ag. So really useful. And I'm going to show you an extra bonus. That's something I stole directly from the author's vimrc. He used something called CodeRay to show a file preview. So I'm going to go to here. Well, let me go here, close this. Actually, let me close everything. So if I'm here and I'm doing colon files, now I have a preview on the right, and as I go through the files, I can see what they would look like. And for most of them, you're just going to see the syntax highlighting too. So that's, as you type files, for example, streams, you can see what it is, and you can say like, oh, actually that's the file I want, so I'm going to jump into it. So that's another extra bonus, and that can be, if you're interested in that, you can steal that from the author's vimrc. That's it. So that's a short talk. We have office hours right now, so it's kind of like open for you to talk to everybody, whoever you want, and ask us questions. We'd love to learn from you as well. Like Jake said, we have lightning talks coming up, and we really, really like when other people talk. They're not just HashRocket people. So yeah, we'd love to have you here. The slides, all the slides are available on bit.ly/vimchi-fzf-talk, and this is my Twitter if you want to send me any tweets. That's it. Thanks again for HashRocket.
Thanks, Ari. That was awesome.
Thank you. Any questions at all?
What was that font?
Oh, that font, yeah.
Yeah, I could use like a overview
Mono-
of your colors and your font
They're interesting.
and like your airline. Is your setup very different from like the dot matrix, for instance?
Yeah, so I used to use Powerline and I switched to Airline because it's way lighter, doesn't require to compile with Python, I believe. In terms of the font, I think I'm using the patched version of Monofur. Let me see if I'm correct. Yeah, so it's Monofur for Powerline. So that allows you to have those like sharp edges here on the Powerline or Airline, if you will. Color scheme is just Tomorrow Night. Everything else is kind of I built myself, I guess, or like customized myself my own colors. That's about it.
Did you actually see a startup time difference between Airline and Powerline?
The what?
The startup time for your sessions or live jam or something?
I don't know that it affected the startup time, but it did affect when I was running my dot files on a Raspberry Pi, and that didn't have Vim compiled with Python. And compiling something on Raspberry Pi is really painful, so I was like, I decided to just ditch it.
Oh, it's one of the flags. It's a compile time flag.
Yeah, it's like you have to hit the make file with a certain flag to get it to compile with Python, and man, trying to install Ruby on a Raspberry Pi was painful. Actually, it never completed. Any more questions? Yeah.
You showed that preview integrated example again.
Oh, the preview? Okay, so I think I put this on my behavior modification. Yeah, so this is the thing that I stole directly from his vimrc. He uses CodeRay, which is a gem. And this is what it looks like. Files. For some reason, it doesn't work on Git files. It only works on files. So I'm gonna maybe push a pull request to his project. But it lets you like preview all the files on the right. I don't know how it does that. It's pretty magical.
So this command line that's right now is the one in Vim or?
Oh yeah, so that's why I said FZF integrates really nicely with Tmux. So this is actually a Tmux pane that I can resize with my mouse.
So that preview window is also a part of Tmux or?
It's not a part of Tmux. I don't know how he does that. He probably like converts it using CodeRay into like the colors, the correct colors in Bash code, and then displays it somehow. Not really sure how. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I know this doesn't affect you, but when I've been using, when I've been pairing with you and you use this feature, SCF, or the other feature that does Tmux paint splitting, in this pane goes away. What that does is that it sort of disrupts your last pane setting. If you rely on that to navigate Tmux panes.
Yes.
Oh, Control 6.
No, Control Z. Well, I mean, for I guess it would be leader semicolon. Leader semicolon will go. So I toggle between panes a lot with.
Like Tmux pane?
Tmux panes, yeah, with semicolon, as opposed to the other way to do it. You know, which would maybe I should switch, but just left and right. Is it left and right?
For me, leader semicolon does something else, but I think you're right. I think it does this. Yeah, I have a different setup, but I think, I just do Control Z L and Control Z H.
Yeah, I think I need to switch to that. It's more efficient anyway. But it would also be interesting to try to replace the last pane somehow.
Restore it after
Yeah,
the thing is done.
I don't know if that would be possible with Tmux to dynamically set up what the last pane is.
Probably.
Do you language pane with the prefix and then some arrow key, or you just like you have mapped it out?
No, it's native to Tmux. It's just semicolon, leader semicolon, and that will go to the last pane that you're in. Yeah, so that's like I only ever have. Two
Oh, okay.
panes open.
I do have that. Okay, so let's try that. So now I'm gonna do files. That opened the new Tmux pane, and now I'm gonna pick one, and I'm gonna do control semicolon no list pane. So you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does break that. Yeah, it's not a passable pull request.
Yeah.
This
sure.
project.
Sure.
Yeah. Any more questions? Not? Feel free to grab more pizza and